Welcome everyone to another episode of Stable School podcast. My name is Matteo. I used to be in the Stable Summit team, now Spaghetti co-founder and Ethereum Community Fund. We are here today with Bilal, founder of Zaïffer. Welcome, Bilal.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us. Let's start straight away talking about yourself, your rabbit hole path into crypto, and basically how that led into Zaïffer.
Good point. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for almost 10 years now, based in Paris. Originally, I built a Fintech company that was doing financial reporting for SPVs, investment vehicles. And I sold this company. And while I was working on this company, we started looking into blockchain. And that's how I got the rabbit hole, because the first idea was to use blockchain to basically secure reporting to investors through those SPVs. And that's how I got into the rabbit hole. Unfortunately, my first company was really TradFi. So I kind of missed a lot of cycles and interesting stuff into crypto. And when I sold it, I wanted to jump in full time. And so I created Paris Lab, which is a VC fund and an accelerator based in Paris. We've invested and supported more than 50 companies. Mm-hmm. The most known are Kiln and Bubble Maps. Probably you've heard of those two.
Yeah.
And for the past 18 months, we've been, seeing very low innovation into the space. And one of the things that emerged is, specifically in France, some crypto entrepreneurs started to get targeted. You might have heard about those.
Ledger.
Those attack, the Ledger guy, a bunch of families related to influencer, another entrepreneur, which are not my friend, but through one person at least, I know them, I met them. And so I felt a lot of empathy towards that. And that's why I started looking into privacy, because, it's a subject that is not new. We've been hearing about privacy since Monero, Zcash, 2018, the ICO craze. I remember also a project called Aztec, backed by Consensus. But nothing very practical that users can use to empower them to have financial privacy. And looking at it, I mean, that's something that is important to me, because I believe in the rights for individual to be able to, use their money as they want, freely, independently, without being judged. I also think that it brings kind of a lot of balance and, let's say, the same level playing field for everyone. Because if some people have some kind of privacy, others don't, it's not really fair. So wanted to build something that would give the same chances as everyone. Also, when you look at it from an entrepreneurial point of view, privacy is extremely exciting, because it has the power to redistribute the cards. I'll give you an example. When you look at a decentralized exchange, the price is the ratio of the two pools. Mm-hmm. Now, if one pool is confidential, how do you start calculating the price? You see? So bringing privacy on chain forces you to rethink some fundamental primitives, like lending protocols or DEXes, just like I told you. Because if the collateral is private, how do you calculate the liquidation threshold on a lending protocol? It's kind of the same issue. So the why was important, the potential was exciting, and when you look at the past 18 months where there was very low innovation, privacy seems to be the next narrative, what people need. And there is another way from looking at it, because I don't like to use this example of, self-preservation and people getting kidnapped, because, okay, you want to protect yourself from frauds and attacks, but it's not fun to talk about that. I prefer to see it from an adoption standpoint. Who, apart BlackRock with their brand, could do a fully tokenized fund publicly? Most of the companies, most of the funds will have to have some level of privacy for their users. A company is not going to tokenize its cap table. A private company is not going to tokenize its cap table publicly. People want to be protected from that kind of transparency. So from an institutional standpoint, from an adoption standpoint, I think privacy can really get crypto, Web3 in another level.
Right. So we are in the realm of what is called OPSEC, which is operation security. And although I have to say that privacy comes also with healthy habits, meaning that financial privacy is a legit right. But when you start flexing your own wealth on social media, then it kind of falls apart because, Web2 media, they basically can be pierced through and anyone can get to know your data and where you are at any moment. I would like to play a game with you, basically, because this podcast is about mostly education, is about making terms clear for those who are approaching the ecosystem. They might all hear these buzzwords and these acronyms, and they try to pretend they know it until they don't. Exactly. So I would I
totally agree with you. The semantic is extremely important. I've been a huge advocate for that. Actually, in Paris, I also created a school for information.
That's good.
And different profiles, background, how different definition of the same word. It's important to have the same level.
So something I would like to do is basically browse your website and just scroll it and ask you questions as I browse. So the first thing that I notice when I go to Zaïffer.org is your gateway to confidential payments, yields, and swaps. So this word gateway, what is a gateway and where does it stand between the user and and DeFi?
So in essence, the Zaïffer protocol allows anyone to make any token private and enable those users to use those private tokens in existing apps. So you come with your USDC and you deposit them in an escrow account. You get minted a confidential USDC with whom everything you're going to do becomes private. So it's the gateway because you come with your traditional ERC20 tokens and we make them confidential. And so it's the gateway to get your first confidential tokens and use them on existing apps.
Okay.
So that's why I call that gateway. And then once you get those confidential token, let's say you make a USDC confidential, you can pay someone. The idea, once you have confidential tokens, you want to be able to swap them to another token. So you can swap them. And same, you can generate yields. So we want to enable practical application of privacy.
Right. What kind of technology you use? So basically, I am giving you my money. You are swapping them with these. Can you explain more the technical nature of? So most tokens around are following certain standards. Let's say, just for the sake of simplicity, ERC20, which is basically the standard for fungible tokens, that follow a certain audited standard through the years, etc. What are you giving me?
Okay, so for the past 6 months, we've been working with the Federation of Other Companies, Zama, Open Zeppelin, to create a confidential token standard.
All right.
So yesterday morning, we announced the Confidential Token Association, which is this non-profit association that will advocate for these confidential tokens to become a standard. It's inherited from an ERC20, so most of the smart contract looks like an ERC20, to one difference. Basically, those tokens, they're going to call an oracle built by Zama. And I like to do the parallelism with Chainlink. So Chainlink is an oracle that allows a smart contract to request an off-chain data. Zama,
for the sake of understanding, an oracle is
a third party that
can be more or less decentralized, depending on the nature of the consensus, that basically goes off-chain to pick some data needed for prices, or for real estate, for real-world assets, stuff like that.
Exactly. Prices is the most straightforward use cases. So just like a Uniswap would request Chainlink to get a price, Zaïffer requests Zama to perform homomorphic encryption. So that's an important point. I want to talk about it because when people look at privacy, you might have heard about it. A lot advocates for ZK, zero knowledge. But just like I was mentioning Aztec earlier, ZK has still a lot of limitation and nobody was able to deliver a practical use case for privacy. So we decided to look at another direction. And in France, there is this famous company called Zama that is specialized in fully homomorphic encryption. So for the engineers that are here, they kind of heard of fully homomorphic encryption because it's the grail of cryptography. It's the best way of doing cryptography. It allows you to perform calculation on encrypted data without having to reveal it.
Right.
Today, the way
that means that I make my data. Sorry, we have to let's break down every piece of information. So I give you a piece of data that I encrypt, and you're able to make computations on this piece of data without having to open the box, basically, and to give it back to me.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, then we will go more further, deep down the possibilities of this fully homomorphic encryption. Keep going, sorry. How is Zama working both as an oracle and a fully homomorphic encryption operator?
So basically, Zama, the co-founders of Zama are the people who invented fully homomorphic encryption.
Right.
This company, for the past 5 years, aggregates probably 30% of all the research in fully homomorphic encryption.
Okay.
And what they've done, so it's a deep tech company. They've been like making work fully homomorphic encryption from a mathematical standpoint, and then they built this oracle. So it's a server where homomorphic encryption gets done. And connected it to smart contracts. So just like I was telling you, an app would call Chainlink, Zaïffer calls Zama to perform homomorphic encryption. Zama is a decentralized oracle. There is 13 nodes, and there are going to be more in the future, that basically allows for a decentralized version of doing those calculations.
So basically, they agree on the same version of truth.
Exactly.
To give you, okay,
exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly, and there is not one entity, Zama, that controls everything. So it's also important, not for the sake of decentralization, but also for the sake of saying, what is the continuity plan if Zama dies?
Yeah.
Then if Zama dies, there is 13 nodes that are running. So that's very important from that standpoint. So looking at back what I was saying, we tried another way of different from ZK called fully homomorphic encryption. We are actually the first crypto company that is building on top of the Zama oracle, and that's how we're able to provide privacy on-chain for users.
So you were actually talking about the process of a user locking their USDC through Zama. A contract is called so that this value is basically mutated into synthetic tokens.
Exactly.
That's how you call them.
So it works as a wrapper.
Okay.
So you come with your USDC or USDT or ETH, you deposit them in an escrow contract, and then the wrapper mints you a synthetic version of your USDC.
Right.
You deposit one USDC, you get one CUSDC.
All right.
That's the nomenclature. CUSDC, confidential USDC. And so you deposit one USDC, you get one CUSDC, and then everything you do with it is private. What does it mean being private? We're not hiding the addresses.
Yeah, am I still using my address, or you're giving me an alias?
No.
Or okay,
you're still using the same address.
All right.
It's interoperable with all the wallets from Wallet Connect. You can use Phantom, you can use MetaMask.
Right.
It happens natively on-chain. So you put your USDC on Ethereum, you get CUSDC on Ethereum. You're not sent to an L2 or something like that.
Right. And is this traceable? Meaning, can anyone see on Etherscan, whatever, or other Otherscan, whatever version you're using, which is basically the window on the blockchain. For those who don't know, you can basically see all transactions.
Etherscan is where you can see the public ledger of any blockchain.
So can I actually see this thing happening on Etherscan? Can I see that?
So what do you see, what you don't see?
Yes.
To reposition, the first step when you come and deposit your USDC, I mean, they are non-confidential. So we know how much USDC you have, and we know how much USDC you're going to put in the contract. So we kind of know how much CUSDC you're going to get. This is only the case where you come with crypto. You could off-ramp with fiat or whatever.
Right.
You could also on-ramp from I don't know, MoonPay. And they have a deposit of CUSDC.
All right.
So there are different. So yes, it's public how much confidential tokens you get, but there are ways of avoiding that. But that's not the most important. The most important is that once you got those at T0, yes, we know how much you had, but then each transaction you do, we don't know what you're doing. So the amounts are hidden.
All right.
So just to give also, to do a parallelism with other privacy stuff, because a lot of people say, oh, what's the difference with Tornado Cash, a mixer, what people call a mixer.
Why do we need another privacy-preserving financial tool?
So first, a mixer like Tornado Cash doesn't hide the amounts. It cut the link between the sender and the receiver.
Right.
Okay? So that's if people has USDC or USDT that are hacked, he goes there, and you cut the link between the sender and the receiver, and we cannot trace that you had hacked USDC.
So
what we do, sorry, I finished. What we do is the opposite. We hide the amounts and we don't cut the link between the sender and the receiver.
All right.
So it's the opposite. And so if you don't cut the link between the sender and the receiver, you can always have the audit trail and follow it of what has been done before. When you cut the link, you cannot do that. It's what we call the AML. The anti-money laundering.
So that's an important piece of information, because I was about to ask, how does Zaïffer integrate with the regulatory framework in Europe, MiCAR, and...
That's a very good question. So to answer this question, people that are listening to us need to understand, what does the regulators want?
Yes.
The regulators, what they don't want. What the regulators don't want is not having the ability to retrace all the history paths of a specific wallet. So when you cut the link between the sender and the receiver, you cannot look at the history very well. So that's the first thing that they need. So not cutting the link between the sender and the receiver is important. But now the amounts are encrypted. So how does a regulated
tax agency calculates what you owe to the state? Yes.
So what we've built in is a feature that allows anyone to selectively choose to whom revealing his history.
Me as a user.
You as a user. So let's say I'm Kraken. You want to offer up your tokens, your confidential token to me.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be able to see what the amounts and your balance on chain, but you can delegate the rights so that I can uncipher the history to perform my AML. So we're not cutting the link, and we're giving the ability to a regulated entity to decipher it with the decision of the user. So that's what regulated entities want. They want to perform the AML. And
but I have one question. Sorry. Do you have any permission to force that upon users that refuse to disclose certain information as a protocol? Do you, like, if the European France tax agencies came to Zaïffer and said, listen, this person is refusing to disclose something, we need to know. Can you do that do you have this brute force thing?
Yes,
you should be required to do it by law if you're based in France.
Yes and no. The question is not, there's no perfect answer in the sense it's not yes or no. It's what is the process you put in place so that this is not abused. And so I told you, Zama is handled by 13 nodes so far, and we could align the 13 nodes to say, oh, you have admin rights and you can encipher everything. So in the case of the FBI coming, obviously we're going to be cooperative. We don't want to be one of those privacy protocol that is end zone and say, oh, fuck you all, do whatever you want. No. We don't want that. We want to empower people to have financial privacy, but not at the expense of allowing malicious people using the protocol. And how do we lock malicious people from using the protocol? So basically, it's a decentralized protocol in the sense that we don't manage keys, we don't manage the reserve, nothing. We don't do a KYC. But we do an AML. So we have a database of all the wallet addresses that are flagged that, I don't know, hacked, stole, did some weird stuff. So Interpol has a database, Chain Analysis has a database, Bybit has a database. And so we have this database. And when a user comes to the protocol, we're going to check this database. He comes with his address. So we're just going to check if this address is on the database. If it is, we're going to lock him. So let's say, for example, Lazarus Group, those famous North Korean hackers, they won't be able to use our protocol because most of their wallets are blacklisted, and so they're going to be detected and stopped. We call that some kind of proof of innocence. Because if you allow those people to use your protocol, then all the regulators are going to come to you and say, oh, you allow them to launder their money. So we don't want that to happen. So we've put in place this proof of innocence in order to lock malicious people from even using the protocol without doing a KYC. We don't care. It's not the KYC that is important. It's what were your crypto doing before you bring them to the protocol.
What kind of responsibility you're bearing in having this role? Like, did you have to get a license? Like, my question is basically, I see that DeFi is, I stand for the values of Ethereum, but I'm also a realpolitik person. I see that evolution has to be contaminated, otherwise you cannot get pure DNA surviving big catastrophes, etc. So I see that DeFi is basically turning into a smarter traditional banking system, like where I send money to another IBAN address and you cannot see it, but the state can, because if exceed a certain amount, they can say, oh, where is this money coming from, what, why, etc. But at the same time, the possibilities that this smart money opens are way more vast than traditional banking, because tokens allow, it's smart money. I can program them, I can stake them, I can make yield with them, I can turn them into so much thing. What is your take on the future of finance? It's a broad question, but I would like to have your opinion on the next 5 years of finance from your standpoint of privacy preserving transactions. Are you an optimistic? Of course, you have to be an optimistic. You can say, no, I'm a pessimistic. But,
Yeah, no, it's not just optimism. It's like we have the anger to just fight until it becomes a reality.
Yeah.
So I think that's the North Stars that we're following. Again, we really believe in financial privacy. We believe people should be able to use their money without being judged. We believe that if there is financial privacy, you can preserve yourselves from cyber attacks, from fraud, from being doxxed, from being copied. It's just because some people see it from an individual standpoint, but look at it from a corporate standpoint. Corporations they are private companies, don't have their accounts public. Even listed companies, they do that once every 3 months. So an asset management company don't want another asset management company to see what they're doing. So financial privacy, it's not an individual right. It should be like a common sense for every type of entity. What do I believe? I believe that a lot of the finance is going to be on chain for sure. Not from an ethos standpoint, but mostly from an financial infrastructure standpoint. It's just more efficient. It never sleeps. You have different nodes that brings redundancy. It's cheaper. So,
but I also see a very interesting dynamic there of now. Usually you say you know the sin, but you don't know the sinners. And in your case, actually, you know the sinners, but you don't know the sin. Exactly. You don't know the amount, but you know who did what with whom, which is a very interesting. Like, what kind of scenario? Like, imagining a world where you know that these people had this protocol, this person, these two users had a financial interaction, but you don't know shit about it. You don't know the quantity, the quality of what they did, etc. And how would you build, like, because we're talking about smart money, what is the next level of social infrastructure that you could build upon that, like, if you had to fast forward your protocol, Zaïffer, to 5 years, what would you like to see built on top of it?
I would like to, like I was saying in introduction, bringing privacy on chain redistribute the cards. So what I want to see is new DEXes being built on top of the protocol, new lending protocols. So all those financial primitive, I think it makes sense to be rebuilt in order, we've all seen those posts on Twitter of those guys that are going to be liquidated, and people, they post, oh, this guy, he's going to get liquidated 100 million if Bitcoin goes to this price. Mm-hmm. And so when this information is public, let's say someone that holds enough Bitcoin could dump the Bitcoins to get this guy liquidated. Mm-hmm. So there is this, if there is no asymmetry of information, people can abuse the others. Mm-hmm. And so we don't want that. And today there are a lot of people that do that. I mean, some very aggressive funds against each other. They're bringing liquidity here and they're like dumping a token, creating a liquidation in cascade, and then people get liquidated and they didn't ask anything. So I believe like that financial privacy is supposed to solve those types of issues, and also when you see like people holding tokens, selling them, it creates a lot of FUD. So everybody starts selling because they think something is happening. So I think privacy brings unbiased judgment, mm-hmm. and that's important.
I have also a series of questions that were kind of pre-written to me, and I'm kind of juggling around them. But there is something interesting in what is the role that privacy can play in a more advanced stablecoin use cases, like trading strategies, mm-hmm. cross-border settlements, institutional adoption. And I would add, since we are seeing this huge stablecoin hype and adoption, which has something good, but also a lot concerning. Maybe we can explore that around the world, while Europe is still kind of chained to, no, we're going to have our CBDC and the digital euro, we will control it. So how privacy, like, let's talk about the European framework, for example. How a tool like yours could improve a design of what this digital euro is meant to be?
Well, to be honest, I don't want to improve the CBDC.
yeah, I'm sorry.
But no. It's a good point. In Europe, we live in a lot of paradoxes.
Yes.
They want to be the best, but they want to regulate the first. They want privacy, but with control. So we're full of paradox. I think nobody can fight the technology. And so whatever whatever government, whatever centralized entity, when you try to force something, it breaks. So maybe they will force it, but there'll probably be, I don't know, riots. Mm-hmm. And maybe the government is going to change, and maybe the new government is going to kill everything that was done before. So I don't think you can fight technology. You can slow it down, but you cannot fight it. So whatever Europe wants to do, I think the US has kind of the right approach. I saw a tweet a couple of days ago of the Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent. He said, stablecoins are a 3 trillion opportunity for our T-bills. So it's a way to refinance our debt. If we can refinance our debt, we can better negotiate the interest. And
don't you see a danger in this hyper-dollarization of DeFi?
That's a very good question. There is this theory, and specifically from US dollar stablecoin issuers, saying the US dollar is the ultimate on-off ramp because all the currency are paired with the dollar. So if you want to send, I don't know, money to Philippines, you can go through the dollar. It's going to be very efficient. Why not? Why not? Because what people want is a currency that is the less inflationary. Mm-hmm. So if the US is able to show that the dollar is the less inflationary, I think it would make sense. Obviously, But you know what? I think that's also what Bitcoin is bringing. It's stating that money and government should be two different entities. It should not be the government that controls money. And I think that's the path forward. I think, honestly, I believe that in 10 years, 15 years, most of the central banks will just disappear.
That's interesting. So we aim for a future where stable coins will have no treasury bills, but they will probably have Bitcoin reserves.
That would be even better.
And we will start having like just nominal labeled dollars, but they will basically be backed by a global economy. That's actually a nice dream to have. Right, let's talk about yield. And with more stable coins now offering native yield, do you see Zaïffer supporting privacy-preserving yield strategies in the future? And also, let's make clear what yield is for people who approach also basic finance for the first time.
So you have different ways of generating yield from stablecoins. For example, this usual stablecoin, they say it's a yield-bearing stablecoin. And so the business model of stablecoins is that the reserve is invested in T-bills, generates 4%. That's how they make money. That's how Tether makes money. And so the holders are not exposed to this yield. And people like usual, they came in and they say, you know what, this yield, we're going to share it with the users. But you can also generate yields with your stablecoin on lending them to another protocol. So first, I think it's important to bring privacy to stablecoins because obviously, when you do stablecoins for micropayments, remittances, stuff like that, it's not necessarily super important to be like, it's okay. I send you 20 euro. I don't necessarily want them. I don't need them to be private. But when you're sending bigger amounts, when it's the corporate treasury, when it's a corporation that is paying its supplier, it doesn't want its competitor to know how much the supplier is getting paid. They don't want to understand. If you look at all the transaction, you could say, okay, then this supplier gets 30%, this supplier 10%, 10%. Then if I'm a competitor, I can go mess with this supplier and my competitor will lose 30% of its supply. Nobody wants that. So from more institutional use cases, and by institutional, I mean more serious and business related, privacy is going to be a killer feature for stablecoins. And just as the same from an individual standpoint, a corporation doesn't reveal the state of its treasury, doesn't want to reveal how much they're winning, doesn't want to reveal which portion of their treasury is invested here or there. Because again, just like for the supplier example, if you have 20% or 30% of your treasury in a protocol, some other people could try to, I don't know, manipulate the protocol, manipulate the liquidation threshold, maybe hack the protocol to kill your treasury. So,
right.
Yeah, I think it's a killer feature.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Zaïffer also allowing some kind of what's the term? Mitigation of MEV attacks?
Good.
Let's say what MEV.
What is MEV attack? MEV attack, another words for that is front running.
Front running.
What does it mean, front running? So blockchain works per blocks. In a block, you have 5, 10 transactions. So when, let's say, you're the first one to eject your transaction in the block, there is 9 other spaces.
There are people who see these transactions being queued up in a block. So these people can play around with.
So what those people could do, they could pay more gas fee than you, and even though there's the second to send a transaction, they will become the first to be executed.
Yes.
And so let's say you want to swap, I don't know, 1 million USDC for ETH. Then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do a trade just before you, so that actually the price changes a little bit for you. And this difference between the price that you should have and the price that you have is an extracted value for the person that front ran.
Yeah.
So it's the minimum extractable value. That's the MEV. And this delta is the minimum extractable value. And so a guy that is just swapping gets front-run and actually gets a worse price that he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
So nobody wants that. And so indeed, if you would inject the transaction confidentially, the public wouldn't be able to know how much you're injecting, and does it make sense for him to front run you? And so swapping entirely confidentially preserves you from MEV attacks. But to do that, so that's an important point. Now let's roll back.
Yeah.
I was saying that Zaïffer allows anyone to make any token private and usable in existing apps. That's the first purpose. So if you're swapping through Uniswap is not confidential. So basically, when you're using confidential token on Uniswap, you hide what you're doing. We don't know that it's you that is doing it, but we see what is being done. So you can still get front-run. But I think by the end of the year, we're going to release a fully confidential DEX. And in this one, you won't be able to get front-run. So here there is a balance to choose. Do you want to tap into liquidity but get front-run? Or do you want to tap into less liquidity and not get front-run? Because the liquidity is on Uniswap.
Right.
So depending on the use, some people will accept to get MEV'd, some others won't. But you said it very well. In a fully confidential environment, there is not this anymore.
Okay, interesting. So we can maybe get closer to the end. I would like to ask you what the roadmap for Zaïffer is. I know that you just started.
Yeah.
Also, the app is about to be launched, I guess.
Yeah.
So what should we expect?
So right now we are in a private testing environment, making sure that all the compliance features such as delegation, such as proof of innocence are working well. So the high-level roadmap is that probably by September we will publicly launch the platform. Probably by end of September we will be able to release the fact that you'll be able to use those tokens on Uniswap. And probably by the end of the year, we're going to release a new type of DEX and a new type of lending protocol that are fully confidential. So that's kind of the high-level roadmap. Right now, the use case that we're working on right now is companies that want to settle their trades using confidential stablecoins. So, there are foundation, crypto companies, crypto hedge funds. They buy and sell crypto every day. And they don't want their community to get the wrong message and creates selling pressure. They don't want another fund to copy them. They don't want to be doxxed. They don't want to be copied. And so that's what we're focusing on, bringing privacy to people that want to transact. Another approach that we are that we're exploring is more related to businesses. All those people that want to invoice their supplier, like I was saying, who wants to move money from one subsidiary to the other. From a European standpoint, sometimes we forget how hard it is. But the truth is that with all the wars going on, it's really hard to pay a Russian supplier, to pay a Kazakh supplier, to pay an Israeli supplier, to pay a Jordanian supplier, to pay a Saudi supplier. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Some people cannot even do it. And it's funny. I mean, I have this friend with whom I was in high school, and he called me a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, "Oh, because of the war in Ukraine, we cannot pay our Ukrainian supplier, so we've been trapped, and we needed the wood because they're like a wood company. We needed the wood, and he told me, I thought of stablecoins. Do you think stablecoins could apply here?" And I said, yes, of course. Exactly. And so, even a wood company is getting the value proposition of a stablecoin. So I'm very excited about the future. Obviously, I'm not happy that it's because of wars that it's being catalyzed, but I think it's a good thing because it will empower people to understand what are crypto for, what is crypto for.
Yes, absolutely, and I totally believe in this cracking of the system. It will start. We will start having financial institutions disjointed from political institutions, and hopefully, in the cracks, DeFi will float and possibly connect all the dots.
Exactly.
Right. It was a pleasure to have you here. I would like to have from you some final remarks on the ETHCC week. We're in Cannes. It's the first time that ETHCC goes to such a nice locality, and there were a few doubts at the beginning. Oh, why Cannes? But apparently, it seems that people are appreciating the work.
True. I mean, to those people who say, "Oh, why Cannes?" I was like, "Do you think Dubai or Singapore is less fancy than Cannes?"
Yes.
I mean, it's the same. So, I think it was an amazing choice because Cannes is kind of a small city, so everything can be done by walk. Obviously, the weather, it's really hot. So this time, it's supposed to be this temperature mid-August, not end of June. But everything is closed. It's such a nice environment. You can do rooftops, you can do poker on the beach, you can do like golfing sessions, you can do... people are so creative with the side events in here. It's very different from Paris, where it's, basically all the same. You go to a place and there are drinks, and in a hotel, and it's a bit boring. So I'm very happy that it's in Cannes. I'm very excited that the next 5 years it's going to still be in Cannes.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. They signed
that's an alpha for 5 years.
Yeah, they signed a 6-year partnership. That's what I heard.
That's nice.
So this year plus the next 5 years, it's going to be here.
That's a nice alpha. This episode will surely be hyped a lot on socials. And final remarks on where we'll see you next. There's any other conferences that you will attend? Yeah.
Good question. To be honest, I'm planning to move to the US early October.
All right.
So between October and December, I know there are a couple of conferences in the US. So maybe we can meet there. Apart from those crazy immigration stuff that is happening in the US, I think the planets are aligning there. They're really bullish on crypto. They're showing the right signs. So much capital is in the US.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to try the US. I've been spending my last 10 years in Paris and in Europe. So I'm from a personal standpoint, I'm also excited to discover a new environment.
Mm-hmm.
So
will you go to DevConnect in Buenos Aires?
Yeah.
That's an interesting field. That's been already.
It's technical.
It's technical.
I like it.
There's adoption.
Yeah.
There already is a need and adoption.
No, clearly. And also Latin America is a very interesting sandbox, I think.
Yeah. Bilal, it was a great pleasure to interview you.
Likewise, man.
Yes.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes. Thank you,
I hope to tell you we give ourselves a rendezvous in 1 year and we do an update.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thanks.
Nice. Thank you.